This is 180 Conversations with tens of millions of LinkedIn invites, emails going out each and every single week. What are you doing to sound different? It's all about engaging your prospects. But to engage your prospects, you're going to have to think different and you're going to have to sound different. Let's go. Kiley, you had a recent conversation. It sounded like a good coaching session with one of the commercial real estate teams that you coach. Can you tell us a little bit about it?
Yeah, we prepped for an upcoming meeting that they had with a CFO. The CFO was less than a year in his new role with this organization that they've been prospecting for about a year.
When you were prepping, what were some of the things that you were trying to make sure they paid attention to or they prioritized?
The first thing that we wanted to be mindful of is the fact that this guy's been in his role for less than a year. You know, he's still trying to get acclimated, probably drinking out of a fire hose, metaphorically speaking, trying to just figure out what his priorities are and where can he make an impact.
Kiley, what was the biggest challenge that you had in your prep with them?
So when we prepped for this conversation, we focused on the upfront agreement, how they're going to kick off the meeting, and we focused on the questions that they were going to ask, what they needed to learn. So in the upfront agreement, we wanted to call out the fact that perhaps this guy is drinking out of a fire hose still. Or on the flip side of that, maybe he's identified what the priorities are that he needs to focus on. So it could have gone either way.
What questions did you guys prioritize?
We wanted to focus on what this guy's learned in his first 9 months on the new job. Because when you start out a new job, you're a third-party observer, basically. You're not so far in the weeds with this new company. So he's been able to make some observations. He's been able to identify some areas, perhaps, that they could focus their energy on. They wanted to learn what those things were before even touching the commercial real estate subject.
So, Kiley, it sounds like hopefully, because you don't know yet, right? You haven't done the debrief.
We briefly connected on it, and they actually did specifically say, you might be drinking from a fire hose right now. And the guy just enthusiastically agreed and went into detail on everything that he's been feeling and all of the overwhelm he's been working through.
Yeah, Kiley, I think you bring up a really strong point. Anytime that you have a new decision maker or a decision influencer within a client and a prospect, you need to prioritize learning more from them about what their observations are since they started. What's their biggest surprise? Is there something that they've accomplished already since they've been there that they're proud of? You have to get a feel for the new decision maker or influencer as a person and how they view the world. That's going to tell you a lot about how your relationship will go. It will tell you a lot about this individual's propensity for change, propensity for risk, and all sorts of things like that. So, Kyle, let's think about what if your client had that sales mindset, though, which is they went in attached to an outcome, scarce like, hey, don't screw this up. We finally got a meeting with the CFO. And then low intent, which is, hey, we got to make sure this guy or this gal sees or understands our expertise and our value. If they would have went in with that kind of mindset, what do you think would have happened? What would the conversation, how would it have been different?
I think they probably would have gone straight to talking about real estate. And who knows if real estate is at the top of this guy's list right now. If it's not, he potentially is probably thinking about the other 12 priorities that he's got on his mind. Real estate maybe being number 14, 15, if it's even on the list, and not wanting to further engage in a conversation because it's not going to be helpful to him.
So in short, their energy, instead of directed and invested in learning, it would have been spent on potentially pitching, proving, or trying to convince the CFO of their expertise and why another meeting or future conversations would make sense.
Yeah, and the guy might be thinking in his head, I don't even need this right now.
Kylie, what do you think the big takeaway here should be from your perspective?
My takeaway is to empathize with your prospect. Perhaps if they hadn't empathized at the beginning of the conversation and really put themselves in the prospect's shoes in being new in a role, they might not have teed up the conversation in the same way. It might not have gone the same way. So I think empathy is huge, and not often enough do we do it.
They did prioritize the prospect and what the prospect's experiences might have been, and they prioritized with empathy. I love it.
If you're ready to get uncomfortable and level up to high performer status, find out how you can change the conversation by sending us your sales outreach via email or voice recording at podcast@lapin180.com. We're going to anonymously share these with our listeners and offer feedback for you.